Out of every winter comes spring. That familiar warmth reminding us baseball is back. It is a fresh start. Hope renewed. Another chance. It is a new season with infinite possibilities. The wait is over. Spring has sprung.
It is a gorgeous Friday evening here in Las Vegas as we kick off our coverage of Cubs baseball here in 2015 on Comcast Sportsnet. Big League weekend as the split squad Cubs take on the split squad Oakland A's. Great to have you with us for another season of Cubs baseball here on CSN. Jim DeShays and Len Casper. Well, we're in Vegas, and the Cubs are coming off a last place season last year, but people are betting on the Cubs because of all the changes.
Yeah, people are very bullish on the Cubs. It all started, of course, with the hiring of Joe Madden. He's made quite an impression with the Cub players here early in camp. Of course, the John Lester signing, Dexter Fowler, Miguel Montero. That's kind of the theme here, new and young. Some new veterans that have added the club, and again, the youth. There's so much buzz about Bryant, Baez, Soler, and on down the line. Addison Russell, we'll get a look at him. He's playing shortstop tonight. I'm really anxious to see this kid play.
Chris Bryant hit 2 home runs yesterday, playing in front of a hometown crowd tonight. He's got 4 homers already on the spring.
Yeah, he's just a marvelous talent. Just a matter of time, of course. There's a lot of talk about when the Cubs will bring Chris Bryant to the big leagues. There's some magic dates in there. He may probably won't break with the club, but don't be surprised if you see Chris Bryant in the big leagues middle to late April.
All right, we'll see Jake Arrieta, who will slot in behind John Lester in the Cubs rotation as the Cubs take on the A's. Coming up next here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Apt Electronics, appliances, and more. Pleasing people since 1936.
Well, the weather has been tremendous in Arizona and here in Nevada. Tonight and tomorrow, the Cubs and the A's in split squad action. There's Bob Melvin, the A's manager. Joe Madden stayed back in Arizona. His daughter had a baby girl today. So Joe's 5th grandchild added to the Madden family. So congrats to Joe and his daughter and their entire family. That's Franklin Font exchanging the lineup card. Dave Martinez, the Cubs' new bench coach, will be the acting manager tonight and tomorrow. The other split squad dropped a 7-4 decision to Cleveland in Mesa earlier today. So, JD, the Cubs are actually 1-8-1 on the spring. They've been a little sloppy defensively, but they do lead the majors in home runs, and this is the kind of thing you're going to get early on with a team that's got a lot of young kids.
Yeah, we'll say it now. We'll say it often throughout the spring. The wins and losses really don't matter a whole lot, but you do want to see things get tightened up a little bit defensively. But I think overall the tone has been very positive in the Cubs camp. A chance for some of these players to get to know each other with so many new faces in town. And just there's a lot of buzz, as we mentioned in the open. There's a lot of buzz about this club, and one-loss record in spring training really doesn't matter. There's been no correlation ever proven about one-loss record in spring training and the regular season. So I'm going to go to the sports book tonight and lay a big wager down on the Cubs to win the World Series.
Yeah, it's interesting. What would you say, 5-1, 5-2?
Yeah, there's a sports book in our hotel has the Cubs out for 5-1. The second best odds, I believe, I saw on that board, which I think it's just maybe a little overrated, perhaps.
So the A's actually wearing their road pants. They'll be the road team tomorrow. The Cubs wearing their home pinstripe pants, but they're going to be the road team tonight. So we try to confuse you a little bit in spring training and wait till the changes come in about the 5th inning. Here's the Cubs starting lineup, and one of the new Cubs, Dexter Fowler, switch hitter. He'll be the Cubs' everyday leadoff guy. Anthony Rizzo has been hitting second on occasion here in the spring. Joe Madden said don't read too much into it just yet, but we'll discuss. Soler, Miguel Montero, the new catcher. Javier Baez has had a good week. We talked about Bryant's spring. Junior Lake is in left. Tommy LaStella, good on-base skills. He came over from the Braves over the winter. And Addison Russell, one of the top prospects in all of baseball. And interesting, Billy Beane, his former general manager, gets to watch him in a Cubs uniform tonight.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the A's defensively. Not a lot of familiar names out there for this A's ball club tonight, even for an A's fan, I would gather. Canna Korn plays left field. Greg Gentry's in center. Jason Pride's the right fielder. Muncy Simeon, Leidendorf, Olson third to first. Stephen Vogt behind the plate. 26-year-old left-hander Drew Pomerantz will do the pitching for Oakland here early on. Former first-round pick of Cleveland back in 2010. Dealt with some injury problems last year for the A's. Pitched well, was 5-4 with a low ERA and 10 starts. Also effective out of the bullpen. Figures to be kind of middle to the back end of the rotation for Oakland this year.
And the umpires, Adrian Johnson will work the plate. You've got Dana DeMuth, Kerwin Danley, and Scott Barry on the bases. It's just after 5 o'clock here in Las Vegas, so the lights are on, but have yet to take effect, as the batter will be in the shadows and the pitcher's mound still in the sun. And Pomerantz working from the stretch, and a strike on Fowler, and we're underway. Dexter Fowler came over from Houston in mid-January for Dan Straley and Luis Valbuena. And he hits this one high in the air. A lot of foul territory here at Cashman Field, and that one will get out of play.
Generally, a very good hitter's ballpark. The ball really jumps here. So the shadow will work against the hitters here in the early goings. That ball goes from sunlight into dark shadow on its path to home plate. But by and large, a very good hitter's park.
You see Fowler's numbers with the Astros. Statistically, he's a better right-handed hitter than he is left-handed. And he takes a pitch that was apparently outside. 1-2. Cubs have another new hitting coach, John Maley, and he's back in Arizona this weekend with the other split squad. But it's not a new hitting coach for Dexter Fowler, because Maley also coming from Houston. The 1-2. Got him. Good breaking ball from Pomerantz.
It looked like a straight change. Fastball, knuckle curve, and a changeup, the repertoire for Pomerantz. Something soft to get Fowler here. Fowler, he does strike out a lot, but he also takes his walks. So he's bring a decent on-base presence to the top of the Cubs lineup.
Now Anthony Rizzo, as the A's will overshift to the right. That's a fairly recent trend, not overshifting, but doing it in spring training. And why not? You're going to play a left-handed power hitter like Rizzo, like the A's are currently in the regular season. Why not do it in the spring?
Practice like you play.
Left field, this is Canna. And as you said, Canna corn.
No, you said it before the game, and I just stole it when we did the defense.
You've been working on that all winter. 2 outs. How was your winter, by the way?
Well,
we always have to get that out of the way.
It was good. It was too cold for too long, as you know, in Chicago. And you bailed out. You've been down here a while. I just got in last night. But other than that, it was wonderful.
Now, Jorge Soler. If he looks a little bigger, he is. He added some muscle, and he muscles that one on the ground, and it'll get under the glove of Semien, the shortstop, and in the left. How are you scoring that? Hit?
I'm going to go with whatever the official scorer says.
He said hit.
You gave him a base hit? I'm okay with that. Not an easy play. Of course, if I were pitching, I'd probably argue that the play should have been made.
31-year-old Miguel Montero, acquired from the Diamondbacks for 2 minor league pitchers. And he pops into shallow left. Canna makes the tumbling catch, and that will end the inning. Nice grab by Canna out in left. Pomerantz with a scoreless top of the first. The A's are coming up when we return. Let's check out the Oakland A's starting lineup, written out by their manager, Bob Melvin. Craig Gentry will be in center field. Max Muncy plays third. Marcus Semien came over from the White Sox in December in the Jeff Samardzija trade. Vogt, the catcher, has his manager's vote to hit cleanup. Canna in left, Olsen at first, Tyler Ladendorf is at second, Jason Cridey plays right, and Renato Nunez, one of their top prospects, will DH.
Take a look at the Cubs defensively here on this fine late afternoon in Las Vegas. Lake Fowler Soler, left center and right field. Tommy LaStella plays third base tonight. Addison Russell, we talked about him at short. Javi Baez, Anthony Baez on the right side of the infield. And the veteran backstop Miguel Montero behind the plate for right-hander Jake Arrieta, making his second appearance of the spring. 2 innings, 1 hit, a long one, allowed 3 walks in that first outing, coming off just a spectacular year, breakout year for Arrieta. He's established himself as one of the best pitchers in the National League last year.
So again, he'll slot in behind John Lester in the Cubs rotation once we play for keeps in April and a strike call. In terms of stuff, JD, when you talk about all of his pitches, it's about as good as anybody's in baseball, isn't it?
Yeah, the 4-pitch mix, power slider, nasty curveball. There's the curveball there. Good change. Mid-90s fastball. You know, last year, I mean, if you didn't watch him pitch, you would say, yeah, Arrieta's always had good stuff, and we're not surprised that he pitched well. But if you actually watched his starts, it was really dominant. The combination of power and precision. And it was like every start, you know, he'd go 9 up, 9 down to start the game. He's flirting with no-hitter multiple times.
Three different times he went into the late innings with a no-hitter intact. He was perfect against Cincinnati into the 7th on June 24th.
If he is able to do or come close to what he did last year, and John Lester does what he normally does, Cubs will have a 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation that will rival anybody in the league.
Trying to put away Gentry here. Not hit very hard. Bryant can't get it. Russell does, but not a good throw. Gentry's going to end up at second as that ball ended up in the Cubs dugout. Probably a hit and an error.
Yeah. Gentry runs well. Russell maybe hesitated a little bit with LaStella crossing in front of him. Third basemen are taught to get everything they can. And on a ball like this, I think maybe better off laying back and just letting Russell come and get it. See, Russell gets a little bit of a late break, and he's kind of measured in his steps as he watches LaStella out of the corner of his eyes. I think if LaStella just stays home, Russell probably comes in and makes that play.
Yes, I said Bryant at third. Bryant DHing tonight. This is Max Muncy. And then outside for ball 1. The other A's split squad lost earlier today as well. 8-4 to Kansas City. Outside corner. Let's see, a 5th-round pick out of Baylor, 2012. And the A's are going to grab the early lead as Gentry will come around third and he'll score, and it's 1-0.
They're trying to crowd him with a slider or cut fastball, and it just backs up a little bit on Arrieta. Kind of hovers there at mid-thigh for Max Muncy. Can't pitch Max Muncy there. Just can't go there.
Apparently not. Now Marcus Semien off to a great start this spring. His first with the A's. And a strike called. The A's were very busy over the winter. 9 trades involving 27 players. Bounced foul. The one thing I find interesting about Billy Beane, among the many things, and I hate to base this on the Twitter reaction, but I'm on Twitter all the time, and I guess that's the era in which we're in right now. But he got ripped a lot for all these moves he made, and I thought that was a little baffling. With all the success he's had, my take on Billy Beane is, until proven wrong, I always assume he's generally right.
Right. Yeah, I think anybody who's had that level of success and has done it for a long time, you got to give the benefit of the doubt too.
Here's the 0-2. Should be plenty of room for Montero. And there is.
And until it gets a little darker here, the pop-ups are going to be a bit of an issue too. The high sky overhead and a pretty strong wind blowing. But yeah, Billy Beane, he's had a lot of success, right? He's done a lot of good things. It was a little bit out of character last year when they kind of went into go for it mode. Typically, they're very protective of their prospects. Very mindful of the budget, but last year I think they saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, they're affordable assets are things they really don't part with.
The Samardzija deal, the Lester deal, Jason Hamill, they said, let's go for it. And it didn't work out for him.
But I recall even critics of Billy Beane were impressed that he went for it, and then they lost in the wild card game.
Yeah, at the time when he made those deals, all the scuttle around baseball was, well, these deals aren't to solidify their position to win the division. These deals are to go the distance. They've already got a really good team. Now this is a team that's built to win, and that's ironically Billy Beane was one voice at that time that was saying, no, this is just about getting better, trying to win our division.
And they did not play particularly well late in the regular season.
No, and it forced them into that one-game play-in situation.
It's Mike Gallego at third. Former Cub Ty Waller is their first base coach. I don't know if that's Ty over there tonight. Two balls and a strike.
Sure, who is down there today?
Got a number 87. We will figure out who that is.
Art Vandelay, I believe, is that guy's name.
It is not Ty Waller, I can tell you that.
Max Muncy, not a base stealer. $11 of them in his minor league career. Started back in 2012.
And the backdoor slider and missed away. 3-2.
So 2 innings for Arrieta, excuse me, last time, his first outing of the spring. So you'd think maybe 4 innings tonight. Obviously, depending on the pitch count and whether he labors or not.
Runner goes. Swinging bunt. Arrieta will fire to first in time. Go to second behind the runner, and he's back safely.
Webster Garrison is the first base coach for the A's tonight.
Nicely done. Here's Mr. Garrison. And here's Mark Canha. A's are dealing with some injury issues right now. Josh Reddick has a sprained oblique. The right fielder probably won't be ready by opening day. Ike Davis has a back problem. Coco Crisp with a minor arm issue. Lake underneath. Wynn playing some tricks with that high fly as the A's get one after an inning. They lead the Cubs 1-0. Back here in Las Vegas, and one of the fun things about spring training is we get to talk to the players during the game, and we have Cubs right-hander Kyle Hendricks near the dugout. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing fine. So, did you read or hear about the Arrieta thing that he dropped about your golf game?
I did not.
Yeah, I think
it
it was a Q&A he did with Jesse Rogers, and he said something about you being a scratch golfer, but you don't like it, and that really seems to bother Jake. Is that true?
Well, it's not all true. I'm definitely not scratch. I play solid six, but I don't play golf a lot. I really don't. My dad was a golf pro, so growing up I played a ton, and I got a little burnt out of it. I'll play every now and again for fun, but I don't get out there too much, to be honest.
Well, your day job is to get people out, and you did that very well at this level last year as Javier Baez takes a strike. So how was the winter for you coming off your first go-around in the big leagues?
It was good, you know. Every offseason's different. Not just because I made it this year, but just you learn your body more and you learn what you need to be ready. So it was good. I relaxed and hung out with family for the first part, and then once you get going into lifts and into your throwing program, you know, that's the exciting part. Get ready for the season.
And so far, so good this spring? Arm feels good?
Everything's great. Everything's great. Been getting my work in, feeling good. So we'll go out there tomorrow, and hopefully we can put up a few zeros.
It was a 1-1, and it missed on a breaking ball. So how are you treating this spring? Because people around you are telling you, oh, you're fine, you're in. The manager kind of made that indication, but based on your comments, you're not taking anything for granted, right?
Yeah, in anything you do, I don't think you can take anything for granted. And I know. Ooh.
You can call it.
Right to him.
You can do my job.
All right. I can take over for you if you need me.
Yeah.
All right. No, but I know Joe came out and said that to the media, and I thanked him for it, but I haven't been told anything personally, so you never know what could happen in the spring. All I know is we got a lot of guys, a lot of talent in that clubhouse, and anybody can fill any of the positions we have open, so I'm just battling and trying to do what I can to be ready.
Nice hand for the hometown kid, Chris Bryant. Said got about 20 tickets for family and friends tonight. Were you there the other day when Soler, Baez, Bryant went back to back to back?
No, that game was on the road. I wasn't throwing, but
it was something to see.
I saw the video of it. Trust me, I had to go and watch those.
Well, these are the kinds of at-bats nobody wants to miss.
Right on that one. How would you pitch him, Kyle?
Oh, God, I'd probably just put up four fingers and put him on first. That's probably the least amount of damage he's going to do.
1 ball, 1 strike. Good pitch, 1-2.
So how do you approach spring training in your outing? I know some veteran pitchers will go out there with a mindset of, well, today I'm going to work on my breaking ball. Today I'm just going to work on getting the ball down. Or do you go out with, I'm just going to pitch. Just go out and pitch like I would in the regular season? Yeah,
kind of. One thing, I don't really look at who's in the lineup or who's hitting. You know, I don't do too much scouting in spring training. But I will go out there and just try and make good pitches. You know, if something needs to be worked on, I may try and focus on that. But for me personally, it's just going out there and making good pitches with all 4 that I got.
And isn't that idea of working on something in a spring training game a little overplayed anyway? I mean, once you get out there, you start to compete. It's kind of hard to do that, I would think.
Definitely. It's really hard. And that's what your side sessions are for. I know some guys do try and do it in spring training games, but at the end of the day, I mean, I know the games don't count, but you're out there facing a real hitter, and the runs are going up on the board. You know, there are some stats involved. So you go out there and you're competing. You're really not trying to work on too much. You're trying to get them out still.
3-2 on the way. And he struck him out swinging. So when you watch video of yourself, I don't know how much you see when you come out of the game, but you look like at times you're ready to throw up because you're so angry with yourself. And you're such a laid-back guy off the field, but there's an intensity there that I got to look at last year in your short big league time, but you never want to come out of a game. I can sense that.
Yeah, I think that's a consensus among a lot of starters. I don't know. It's a problem we got, I think. But when you're out there, you're in the heat of the battle, man. You never want to come out of there. You could be at 120, 130 pitches. You'll still argue your way. You might not get your way, but you'll argue it.
Here's Lake with 2 outs.
It's a problem we have. Like, they need to form a support group. And
Yeah, you always have your other starters right behind you. When you're arguing, they're right behind you saying, "Oh, he's good, he's good."
Dude, I can't believe he took you out of that game.
Exactly, every game. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's just part of it. But you know, the coaches know what they're doing. So after we put up that argument, a little while later in the game, we realized, okay, I was tired. I was ready to come out of there.
Do you ever have a game where you're toast and you're getting lit up, or you're getting hit around a little bit, and you're thinking, why am I still out here?
There will be games where you will feel a little tired, honestly, from time to time, and most guys are good about that, though. We have good rapport with our pitching coaches and with the manager, so you can just go up to them and say, you know, I'm laboring a little bit today. You never know what it is, you know, just any given day. So you can go up to them and be real with them, and they'll stick up for you.
Well, one last question, Kyle. We're going to have Boz on a little later, and he's sitting right next to you. So we're going to ask him about you. So why don't we ask you about him? Mm-hmm. What has he meant to you so far early on in your career? Be honest, too, because he doesn't want you to sugarcoat it.
He's the kind of guy that doesn't want me to sugarcoat it. That's the truth right there. But honestly, he's meant a ton to me. I mean, at this stage in your career, you've made it this far with what you've got. And so I think the biggest thing is he hasn't tried to change who I am or what I try and do. All he's tried to do is give me little tidbits here and there, small details that could help make me better. And those are the kind of things that I wouldn't realize on my own, or you know, maybe even some other coaches. He really has a good eye for seeing those small things that you need. And I mean, in a bullpen, you'll throw one pitch and then he'll see it right away. So that's a big help, you know, when you're trying to make adjustments on your own, and sometimes you can't feel it yourself.
Well, Kyle, we appreciate the time very much, and go get them tomorrow and get a good night's rest, which isn't easy here in Vegas.
I will, guys. Don't worry. Take it easy.
Thanks for the time, Kyle.
You got it.
That's Kyle Hendricks as Lake takes a called strike 3. We didn't plan on the inning ending at the end of the interview, but Pomerantz made sure of that. So we go to the bottom of the second, 1-0 Oakland.
Welcome back. The A's lead 1-0 here. They're coming to bat in the bottom half of the second. Cub fans, let's go! Get your tickets to the opening series against the Cardinals as the 2015 Chicago Cubs look to make some noise at Wrigley Field. There's noise going on there now. Opening night tickets are sold out, but tickets are still available for the Tuesday and Wednesday matchups with the Cardinals. Get your tickets at Cubs.com.
Thanks to Kyle Hendricks for spending a few minutes with us.
I don't think he realizes the pain that causes me to have him say that he's a 6, but he's probably better than that, and that he doesn't really play that much. It's just
You're
really
more on Arrieta's side.
A great kid, but that's really annoying.
Second inning. This is Matt Olson.
Power guy, third most home runs in the minor leagues last year behind Bryant and Joey Gallo of the Rangers. One
1-1 the count. I do not see the clocks in this ballpark that we will see, and we have seen at the other spring training parks, and we'll see during the regular season, to count down the between inning breaks. Rob Manfred, the new commissioner of baseball, has, I think, been pretty aggressive in terms of trying to implement some things that he thinks the game needs. And one of them is the pace of play. And all the changes so far, there's a base hit into right, have been about kind of just planting the seed to get guys to think about not taking too much time warming up between innings, not stepping out of the batter's box, waiting for your walk-up music to start, that sort of thing, but also respecting the game itself and not trying to put a pitch clock.
Right. That's, a game that has always prided itself on not being dictated by the clock. It would be really strange to have a pitch clock out there, but it may come to a point where they have to do it if the pace of play issues continue, and they're going to try it in the minor leagues. I like what they've done. I like the idea the hitter can't step out of the box unless he's swung and missed or fouled one off,
broken bat, whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess I should clarify, you can, starting May 1st, and they're going to, let you kind of get away with it the first month. They'll give you warnings and then eventually fines. The one thing I have noticed is that relief pitchers coming in, that clock at 2.5 minutes, that's a foul ball, essentially starts when the relief pitcher gets to the warning track. It doesn't seem like in some cases a guy's going to be ready to go when those 2.5 minutes are up, but by and large they have. So I think it's just a habit. If you see a clock ticking, I think at least subconsciously you think I better be ready before it hits zero.
We talked about a lot about this the last couple of years, and you talk to fans and other people around the game about it, and you get different opinions. There are some people who are, hey, we don't care. We don't care if it's a 4-hour game. We love baseball. Other people say we don't. We'd like to see the pace of the game picked up a little bit. I think most people feel like as long as there's action, it doesn't really matter how long it takes, but it's, again, the pace of play. The ball's being put in play. Pitchers are making pitches. Try to eliminate some of that dead time. I think that would be good for everybody.
The other tweak, which is an easy one, is managers, once we start the regular season, if you want a play to be reviewed via replay, you don't have to walk out and stand and stare at the dugout. You'll be able to signal to the umpire, I'd like to have that reviewed.
So here's my question. And you've been down here a while, and you've probably talked to some people about that, and I'm just breaking in again. So last year, the manager would walk slowly out to, say, the second base umpire, pirouetting, looking back into his dugout to get a sign whether he should challenge or not.
Right.
Is he still going to have the luxury of doing that if he wants? Can he buy that time?
I think what I read is he will still have time before the next play to determine whether or not he wants to review it, whether that is just a heads up or a whistle or a hang on a second.
Okay,
but
so
he doesn't necessarily have to physically walk out in order to waste the 20 seconds or whatever it takes. So I think they're going to respect that part of it. Runner goes on the 3-2. Fowler dealing with that late afternoon sun, makes the catch. He's going to throw to first, but Olsen back in plenty of time. The other tweaks to the replay, when a runner leaves the base early or trying to figure out if he properly touched the base on a tag-up play, that now will be subject to review, which was not reviewable last year. Managers will keep their challenge after every successful or overturned review. Last year, you could only keep your challenge after the first overturned call. So if they get 8 things wrong,
you can just keep
challenging them as long as you get them overturned. The home plate collision rule will no longer be an automatic review based on what the crew chief wants to do. The manager will have to call for that review.
Quick snap throw here from Montero. Olsen drifts a little bit off first base. No review needed.
Managers will get 2 challenges per game for all postseason and regular season tiebreakers in the All-Star game.
So, the collision play again? What's the clarification?
Remember last year the collision play didn't have to be a manager's challenge. The crew chief could kind of review that on his own. But now that has to be
a challenge.
A manager's challenge. However, if the manager is out of challenges from the 7th inning on, the crew chief still can review it. So there will be a quiz in the 6th inning on all these changes.
So much to learn in so little time.
Two. Swing and a miss. First strikeout for Arrieta. 2 outs.
Came after a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, breaking ball, just 79 miles an hour, dropping out of the strike zone. Real nice off-speed pitch here from Arrieta. Good execution.
Friday is out. Here's Renato Nunez, 20 years old, the A's number 4 prospect according to Baseball America. 29 homers at High A last year. And I've gotten some tweets from people. A few who disagree with our Billy Beane comments. I knew that would happen. But also wondering, is there a screen in front of the people behind home plate? Yes. There is. It's not as if Miguel Montero is protecting that entire section of fans back there.
That would be just too much responsibility to put on one man's shoulders.
There is a barrier.
It would fit in with the whole Vegas theme, though, wouldn't it? It's a gamble. You got a great seat, but there's a downside. Are you feeling lucky?
1-1 on Nunez. Bounce to La Stella at third. This spring he's taking some reps over there at third, even though La Stella a natural second baseman. After 2, 1-0 Oakland.
Welcome back to 8-9-1 to up here for the Cubs in the top half of the third. They trail 1-0. Looking for a way to make your business stand out from the competition. Host your best customers and guests in the private suite at Wrigley Field. The Nuveen Investment Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55 and includes food, all-you-can-drink beverages, and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/suites.
Tommy La Stella takes a strike. I got a tweet about the clock. Well, you need to understand there's going to be no penalty or in terms of enforcement, like a ball or a walk or anything like that. If a pitcher's not ready, there's a line drive base hit. Cubs' second hit of the ball game. They're going to enforce all these rules, the between innings stuff and the batter's box rules, via fines and warnings and finger waving. Yes. Don't do that again, and just assume that over the course of time we'll get used to it.
You know, there will be pushback. There will be guys who don't want to break from their routine, will step out after every pitch and readjust the batting gloves and, you know, do all those things, and they'll just be willing to pay some fines. And
now Addison Russell.
Thing is, right, if you get change at the minor league level and players grow up with it and they learn to deal with it down there, then by the time they get to the big leagues, it'll be a much easier adjustment.
Well, you know what it is? It's the hockey helmet and face shield rule. You have to wear a visor in the minor leagues in hockey, so when you get to the NHL, guys don't take the visor off because they're used to wearing it. 1-0 on Russell, facing some of his former teammates and at the very least organizational mates, as he came over from Oakland in the Samardzija Hamel deal last year. He's got broad shoulders. He's a shortstop. But the Cubs like the idea of piling up what is generally considered the best athlete on the diamond, and that's usually the shortstop.
If not the left-handed pitcher.
He throws 84.
The thing about Russell is, you know, and this is my first look at him in person, but of all the things I've read, my goodness, it's off the charts. The upside of this kid. He's got a real good idea at the plate. He's got some pop. He can run. Outstanding defender. Time to pull out the driver here.
Ball 4. Look at this offense. It's a team that struck out a lot last year. Will continue to strike out. These kids like Soler and Baez and Bryant get here and stay here. But the one thing that is obvious the Cubs wanted to add this offseason is some more on-base skills. The trade for La Stella, the trade for Fowler. Miguel Montero will take a walk. You can live with strikeouts if you get walks as well. And if you get home runs.
Right, and if you get everything, then you've got a 5-tool player, and you got a guy who can do all kinds of things for you. They cost a lot of money, and you tend not to have a whole bunch of those on one club. But you're right, this club was home run reliant, didn't walk much, struck out a ton last year, and those moves you talked about, and meant to address that problem. The potential for this lineup is off the charts. When you look at these young kids, if they do figure it out in a hurry, coupled with what's already here and the veteran pieces that have been added, this team has a chance to score a lot of runs. That's, there's a fair number of ifs in there, and that's pretty much the case with every team this time of year.
Well, the Cubs finished 26th in the majors in runs scored and second in the National League in home runs. So they were a high slugging, low on base ball club, which means you're going to win some games 11-2, and you're going to get shut out the next day 4-0. It's a hard way to go. Amarant's in some trouble here. 2 on with nobody out, and a 3-1 to Fowler. And a base hit in the left. Listella's going to be held at third by Franklin Font. And the bases are loaded.
Rizzo up in the batting order this evening, batting second, but here he is in a great RBI opportunity with the bases loaded.
Speaking of a guy who would take a walk and hit a home run, Manny Ramirez, the Cubs' new hitting consultant, and it's been fun to watch him around the batting cage talking to some of the young Cub hitters. More on that in a second. Bases loaded, nobody out. Rizzo hits it hard on the ground foul. Talking to Manny the other day just about how he approached spring training. Manny's one of those guys, JD, who not only had a Hall of Fame caliber career, but he can explain why and how he did things. And that is not universal. There are a lot of great players in a lot of sports who could do what they did, but can't really impart that to the next guy. But Manny can. Kevin Youkilis in the organization. We know about Ryan Dempster, Ted Lilly. So they're bringing people in. We see Billy Williams at the ballpark, Hall of Famer all the time, part of the Cubs organization. Great resources to go along with the coaching staff. And the Cubs honoring the late Ernie Banks all year with the number 14 patch on their jerseys. Knocked down by Olsen. Throw to first, gets away from Pomerantz, and the Cubs are going to get 2 runs and take the lead. And still nobody out.
Single walk, single, now an error. The Cubs making some noise here in the third. Olsen, the youngster down at first base, maybe trying to hurry things a little bit there. Well, one of the themes of Anthony Rizzo's season last year was the good work he did against left-handed pitching. He doesn't really crush this ball, but oh boy, last year he was so good against southpaws. Makes contact, something good happens for him. Olsen initially breaks a little bit towards first base bag. Yeah, he was there in good position, just clanked it. And then a bad throw on top. They get 2 errors on that play?
They did.
Soler's probably going to go deep here, right? Kind of the way it's scripted.
That's the way it feels. Yeah, I have no idea how many errors on the play. Spring training. All I know is the Cubs scored 2. See the infielders moving in. He made some noise late last year, didn't he? Especially in St. Louis. Those 2 long home runs. And is serving notice to the Cardinals that the young Cubs are coming.
He's such a physical specimen. And he does everything well on the baseball field. Runs well. It's a cannon out there in the outfield.
One and two. By the way, as I mentioned, Rizzo's hit second a few times. Is that an intriguing thought?
Well, and I saw some comments from Joe Madden about it in the paper, and he talked about, well, he likes to do it if he's got, good hitters at the bottom of the order, so there will be RBI opportunities for Rizzo. I think if he does do it, he'll do it against left-handed pitching where his power would be diminished a little bit. Madden, like most managers, likes to break up his lineup left and right. Things that Joe Madden has earned because of his success in the game. He has enough credibility where he can come in and do things that others might think is unorthodox and might be challenged by the players, but with Madden's track record, he can say, look, here's what I'm going to do, here's why I'm going to do it, and just hang with me, believe in me, there's a reason why I'm doing it.
With 3-2, we'll do it again. Well, I like generally the idea of a manager having as much flexibility as possible with his lineup. And I do think if you set the tone early that, okay, Anthony, you're in the lineup, but you might hit second, third, or fourth. And Starlin, you might hit fifth today, you might hit third tomorrow.
And just, sometimes players will use that as a crutch.
Right.
I don't know my role, or I don't know, I feel more comfortable if I'm in the same spot every day. To me, that's nonsense. Just hit, go do your thing regardless of where I put you in the lineup.
This could drop, and it will, but it's foul. Great to have you with us. We'll have 10 spring telecasts between CSN and WGN before we head back to Chicago for the regular season opening series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Call. Soler thought it was ball 4.
Borderline pitch, a backdoor breaking ball. Soler quit on it, may have curled into the strike zone. It's a 4th strikeout for Pomerantz here tonight. That knuckle curveball. Has been an effective weapon for him. So much for my home run call.
It's early.
Can't make the club on the first day.
Montero almost hit him. Cubs have I would say an intriguing problem right now in that they have 3 major league catchers on the roster. And it's, I suppose, possible they could break camp with all 3. Montero, David Ross, and the incumbent Wellington Castillo, who's had a terrific start to camp. Conventional wisdom seems to be externally, well, they'll trade Castillo, but...
Well, I'm surprised that when they signed David Ross, I thought it'd just be a matter of days before Welly was traded.
One thing we found out about Theo and his front office, JD, is they don't trade people until they have the right deal. And my thought is there are going to be teams, probably in the next few weeks, we're going to look around and say we would love to have that guy as our starting catcher. And I think part of the reason they brought...
part of a platoon. I mean, he's really good against left-handed pitching.
I think part of the reason they brought Ross in is because he's so good at being a backup. 2-1.
Montero, veteran hitter, smart approach, took a big aggressive swing there. 2 balls, no strikes. Infield cheating in about halfway. We'll see if he is willing to cut down on that swing now. Certainly should be willing to here now with 2 strikes. It's part of the issue with the Cubs last year, and one of the talking points from Joe Maddon this spring is the approach at the plate by certain hitters in certain counts. You know, the base out situation, when you should be taking a big swing trying to hit the ball off the wall or over the wall, and when you're just willing to put it in play. Pretty quiet lower body there by Montero, just trying to be quick with the hands. Watch how little movement there is, and then he gets that front foot down just a little bit late.
And he struck him out. So Pomerantz comes all the way back after a 2-0 start to get him.
Fastballs early, up in the count, and then back with that curveball to finish him off.
I mentioned earlier, Baez has had a really good week. He's hit into some really hard outs. So while he's 2 for 16, I can count at least 3 line shots, including the first out he made tonight. As you can see, he lost weight over the winter. He didn't lose that swing, though, did he?
I love watching this guy. And even when, with his struggles last year with all the strikeouts, there's so much potential with every swing. And that's going to be part of the story too, the maturation of Javi Baez. There are going to be times when he's going to need to shorten up a little bit, just trust his hands and put the ball in play.
His new manager went down to Puerto Rico to talk with him and watch him a little bit as he played winter ball. Foul pop. And just to the seats. As you can see, a lot of Cub fans here in Las Vegas, as is pretty much always the case. This is the Cubs' 24th game in this ballpark. They've been here every year in the spring since 2005. We were talking with Chris Bryant around the batting cage, and you said, what year were you born? And he said 92. And you said, I was with Las Vegas.
Yeah.
In 1992.
He said, I didn't come out and see you play.
Well, he may have. He just doesn't remember being 6 months old. Watching you pitch for the Stars. Were they the Stars then?
They were the Stars, the Padre affiliate.
Long inning here for Pomerantz as Baez hangs in. Middle of the rotation guy, Sonny Gray, Scott Kazmir at the top of the A's rotation. We've got a new closer, Tyler Clippard. And Baez strikes out to end the inning. The Cubs, however, get the lead. The help of a couple of A's errors, and it's 2-1 in the third.
Welcome back. So the Cubs and the Cardinals, we're going to open the baseball season this year. Sunday, April 5th, 7:05 start time at Wrigley Field. The first ever opening night at Wrigley Field. The first 30,000 fans at the ballpark will receive the official 2015 Cubs Magnet schedule presented by Giordano's. For more information, visit Cubs.com.
John Lester will make his Cub debut that night. I haven't seen an update on Adam Wainwright. I don't know, he had the abdominal issue. But if healthy, it would be Wainwright and Lester.
So are you familiar with the term a prop bet?
Yeah, I'd have to guess at what
the
that
sports
means.
books,
Is this like the kind of the off the
just a
bets?
different things, different propositions, I guess. There's one, and I'd never been in the sports book in my life till today. I was wandering around the hotel, and I just wandered in and was watching some basketball. You mentioned Wainwright, that got me thinking about it. You can make a bet as to who will win more games this year, Adam Wainwright or Felix Hernandez.
Interesting.
You could also make a bet as to who would hit more home runs, Anthony Rizzo or Jose Bautista. In case you're looking for a little action.
I am not, but I know some people like that stuff.
Yeah. You'll know if Len did, if during the season, anytime Rizzo hits one in the air, he starts screaming.
Take that, Joey Bats.
Get out of here.
Gentry bounces to La Stella. So Tommy La Stella has never played third ever before this spring. But with the trade of Luis Valbuena, there's some competition over there. They're trying to make him a little more versatile.
Right, and that could be, the path for La Stella to have a big league career, the ability to move around the diamond. You talked earlier about his on-base skills. They were present with Atlanta last year. He had high on-base percentage throughout his time in the Braves minor league system. He's not a power guy, so you wouldn't figure that he would settle in as a third baseman on a regular. Oh, my goodness.
Ball hit hard by Muncy. Soler, chance to show off his arm. Good throw, but it's a little late. You got a good carom.
And runner beware on Soler out there in right field, but another good swing of the bat by Muncy. He's 2 out of 2 here tonight. Jake Arrieta still does not have an answer for Max Muncy. Tried to slide her last time. This is a heater. Right over the heart of the plate. Good swing, 2 out of 2 for Muncy. But anyway, just to finish the point on La Stella, he's not going to settle in and play a whole bunch of third base. He just doesn't profile because of the power. But a guy who could play there, play second, maybe play a little short for you.
Semien. Curve. 78 for a strike from Arrieta. Injuries have been a big topic of conversation this spring around baseball for pitchers. Cliff Lee. Some wonder if his career is in big trouble with his elbow issues. Yu Darvish will not pitch this season. He'll have Tommy John surgery on Tuesday. Or the Rangers have been bitten by just a rash of injuries, haven't they, the last couple of years? Swing and a miss. Semien is out.
Yeah, Prince Fielder, who was so durable throughout his time in Milwaukee, broke down.
Now the catcher Vogt, he grounded out his first time up. Looks like we'll get a new A's pitcher in the next inning. Arnold Leon is warming up in the A's bullpen, a right-hander. Pomerantz had to work pretty hard in that last half inning. Ground ball to second. Baez up with it, and the inning is over. Off to the fourth. 2-1 Cubs. 26-year-old right-hander Arnold Leon is on now for the A's. The Cubs lead 2-1. As the Cubs will bat here in the 4th inning, and we have Chris Bosio, the Cubs pitching coach, from the dugout. Boz, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Awesome.
We got to start with your new ace, John Lester, and we'll get to Jake Arrieta here in a second. But, man, have I been impressed with John Lester. You know, it's funny. I've seen him pitch before, obviously, on television, but just watching him go about his work, he's intense. He knows what he wants to do. He's got a game plan. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. You know, we've got a good relationship going right now. This guy's a pro's pro. Really wants it. Really wants to work hard. The extra work that he's doing, like after his bullpens, actually working with Riz and doing stuff on the half field. He wants to get better in all aspects of his game. So, you know, he's a good leader on our team and good for our staff, and really receptive to new things.
You got a crowd down there.
Yeah, these guys like to have fun. Just make sure there's no cups on my head, Rizzo.
Jake, tonight, we've seen a couple of really good curveballs.
Thanks.
But has he got one more? Jake going back out for one more?
Yeah, Borzy and I call that the Hines catch-up inning. Anytime we can get it under 12, especially in a spring training game, I want him to go back out. So it's a perfect, nice, cool night and good efficient inning right there. So he'll have one more.
You have to feel like a kid. You know, with the signing of Lester, got, you know, the greatest Christmas present ever. And not only that, but based on what Arrieta did last year, if Jake comes close to what he did last year, and Lester does what he's done throughout his career, I mean, that 1-2 punch is as good as anybody in the game. Yeah,
you know, Jake really, the light went on for him last year, and his confidence, obviously, on the mound has a lot to do with it. You know, he found out a lot of stuff, you know, about himself. His preparation's off the charts and really hungry, and he had a great off season, which you know, I think he learned about, you know, from last year, as you guys know. And he's in a good spot right now, feeling good, confident, but you know, hungry. He really wants to improve and be a leader on this team.
Where are you with Travis Wood right now?
Guys, I think Woody's back. You know, he went about this offseason like he did a couple years ago. He'll be first to admit that he kind of took last year for granted. You know, sometimes you're not sure what to do after really good years, and he kind of rested and laid back and really didn't do a lot, thinking he needed to rest and save himself. And you know, I found it in my career to be, you know, on the opposite side of that. I had to work harder to validate the year that I had. So I think he learned a lot from it, still being a young pitcher. But, you know, like we did 2 years ago, I told Woody, you know, from Jump Street in our postseason meetings last year, was, you know, you're going to be starting that first spring training game just like we did 2 years ago. So Woody's in a good spot, throwing the ball well, healthy, looks good so far.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about that, Boz, about coming off, you know, the best year of your career and how you react to that.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody's different, but going back to our original point about John Lester, think about all the accolades. He's won World Series. He's done more, I guess, at this level than anybody in the clubhouse, yet he works like he's trying to make the rotation, right?
Yes.
That tells you something.
Yeah, it does. Guys, it'd be interesting to just follow him around for the day. I think people would be very surprised on what his day is. I mean, we start at 8 o'clock in the morning for our early work with our bullpens, stuff that we need to work on. And normally with our PFP stations, Team Fundy stuff, a lot of guys will do that during the course of our workout program. John wants to do it immediately after he throws his bullpen while he's hot. You know, and that's something that we did old school back in our, you know, my Brewer days, also when we were with Seattle. And he's a throwback guy in every way. And you know, I've learned some stuff from John as well that, you know, I think it's a good plan to try to do that. Why not do it when you're hot? Get the most out of it. And this guy is absolutely soaked after these workouts. And I got to, you know, normally after he gets done working out, I'll tell John, knock out your shoulder program, do your conditioning, come out for a stretch, your day's over with, and then just be your cheerleader for our home games. And after that, you can go home and be with your family because his work is done. So, you know, it's amazing what goes into his day, but a pro's pro, and again, want that willingness and wanting to be better.
You mentioned Mike Borzello earlier. You've got some new catchers in the mix. They're veteran guys who've been around, but that's a process too, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, we got to get to know going. You know, things they like to do. You know, learning our pitchers is probably the biggest thing. Also learning our infielders, learning our outfielders. You know, it's a process where, you know, we got to come together as a group and know what our capabilities are. And every day, I mean, we're getting better. You know, the communication's better, the drills are going better, but it's a work in progress. And we all know that we got a lot of work to do. But these guys, you know, have that willingness. There's the awareness that we need that. So we're all going in the same direction right now. It's just a matter of, you know, trying to keep everybody healthy and get this line moving and get closer to opening day. But, you know, like Joe Maddon said, you know, we still got a ways to go. So let's bear down now so we can get on the same page sooner, so the results will be sooner to set the tone for the season.
Any new guys, new arms in camp that maybe fans aren't familiar with that you've been impressed with, new faces you could tell us about?
Well, the guy that we signed from St. Louis, Jason Mott, has been an unbelievable blessing. I mean, he's a reality show every day. I mean, great to be able to put a camera on his hat or shoulder. You know, phenomenal guy. The presence that he has, and again, another hard-working guy. You know, one guy that the fans are familiar with that's having an unbelievable spring training, and I'm very proud of the way he handled his offseason, Zach Roscoe. This guy's throwing the ball extremely well right now, and really, you know, he looks like a guy that's hungry and wants it. Doesn't even look like the same guy he was last spring. And but those two guys right now really stand out for me.
Yeah, and you got Phil Koch recently signed. You mentioned Mott. You got a ton of hard throwers, and Hector Rondon. I mean, you go back to 2 years ago, and I wouldn't say he was buried on the roster, but he didn't pitch in a meaningful game really his entire first year in the big leagues. And by September of that year, you started to see why the Cubs wanted him, and then last year he becomes the closer, and it's just been really impressive.
Ronnie's in a really good spot. You know, it's a great story. It really is. You know, he was very patient with himself, frustrated at the same time, but really didn't show it. And I just remember a game against the Washington Nationals 2 years ago when we saw that velocity jump from 92, 93 up to 98. You know, the development of the slider, the understanding, you know, of his mechanics, the awareness of the league, getting to know the hitters and what their capabilities are, and he's taken it to a whole new level, and him and Pedro Strop are in the, oh, what a great at bat. What a great at bat right there. Attaboy. You know, it's these guys, you know, they're attached at the hip. They do everything together. It was designed that way. But what a great story, and could happen to a better guy. Tommy John, Rule 5 guy, like you said. But Ronnie's in a good spot throwing the ball well, and that's a guy I got to kind of pull back on the reins a little bit because he wants it. I mean, he's touched, you know, 98 5 times already this spring. So we're trying to spread this out. Our relievers are all going to get 9 or 10 appearances, but he's right on track as well.
Last thing, Boz. This is, I believe, your third Cubs manager. You've been a part of a lot of different staffs here. Theo talks about the pitching infrastructure that he's very proud of in this organization, and you're at the top of that chart. The confidence they've shown in you, and the idea that I know you want to be a part of this thing when it gets really, really good, and we're right in the middle of that right now.
Well, you know, Theo's, you know, he's given me a lot of trust in this, and I trust these guys tremendously, and you know, it's a give and take. You know, he's given me the opportunity. I need to take advantage of that. So, you know, with Lester Strode and Mike, the three of us working together along with the front office, the communication that we have along with the scouting department, player development, we've got great lines of communication and a wonderful thing going. And yeah, I want to be a part of this thing long term. You know, but, you know, it's the old cliche, one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting there, and we're starting to see these young guys come up, our young players develop. I tell you what, the guy next to me, you know, is really matured, and he's a fixture in the league, you know, making the All-Star team this year. And, you know, he's as hungry as any of us. And then, you know, when you got young guys that are leaders like that, you know, it makes our job easy. And, you know, it's fun to come to the ballpark every day because, you know, with these young guys, it's scary because, you know they're talented, but you just don't know what they're really capable of until they get out there year after year. And, you know, when you give them an opportunity, these guys are taking advantage of it. And a lot of our young guys are showing that this spring, along with the, you know, this young man hitting, you know, Chris Bryant, you know, Javi last year, and the way he played and handled some adversity. You know, if you can handle some rough waters in Major League Baseball, chances are you're going to have a long and healthy career.
Always appreciate the time, Chris, very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Boz.
All right.
It's Chris Bosio, the Cubs pitching coach. Always learn something from Boz. 3-2 the count on Russell. Cubs lead 2-1. Estella at first with 2 outs. And he'll go on the 3-2, and it's ball 4. So Russell's walked twice.
And that pitch there, easy to lay off of, but still another long, lengthy, disciplined at bat for Russell.
Now Fowler, who's 1 for 2. Batting left-handed. The last time we saw the A's was opening day 8 days ago. At JD, I finally got a chance to see Pat Vendetti pitch in person, the switch pitcher. And actually, Dexter got a little aggravated because Vendetti warmed up right-handed, I believe, and maybe threw a couple of pitches lefty or the opposite. So Fowler didn't know which arm he was going to use. And in that case, with a switch pitcher, the pitcher has to declare for that at bat which arm he's going to use. And
so Dexter had to go back and change helmets?
Yeah, he lifted his left arm, and so Dexter had to change helmets, but he had warmed up in the on-deck circle left-handed. And also later in the inning, I guess, and I saw him, he played catch with the second baseman after an out, and Joe Madden said, I don't think you're supposed to do that. So if Vendetti does get to the big leagues, they're going to have to really tweak those rules.
When he warms up in the pen, he makes sure he throws some with both arms, because that's you know, obviously that's how he's going to get to the big leagues, the ability to get that platoon advantage or to turn a switch hitter around to his weak side without having to change pitchers.
Yeah, he worked a scoreless inning.
Is he here? I didn't see the list. I don't know if he's here tonight or not. I don't think he's.
Don't think he's on there.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he is. We might see him tonight.
Oh, stay tuned. Don't touch that dial.
I hope we do. So I've seen Pat Vendetti and Will Ferrell. That was an experience.
Much better than that.
I thought Will Ferrell acquitted himself nicely as a baseball player yesterday. We know of his chops as a comedian, and he had everybody entertained as he went around the Cactus League. Fowler pops out to second, and that will end the inning. It's the Cubs 2 and the A's 1.
2-1 ball game. Cubs lead the A's, middle of the 4th. The Cubs will host the 10th annual Race to Wrigley charity run presented by ATI Physical Therapy Saturday, April 25th, outside of Wrigley Field. Check out that shot. In recognition of the Race to Wrigley's 10th anniversary, the Cubs will introduce an additional race, the Let's Run 2, how appropriate, 10K. The course routes will allow race participants to run through the streets of the scenic Lakeview neighborhood before returning to the friendly confines. Sign up at racetowrigley.com.
Will Ferrell has a baseball reference page. You know that?
Does he?
Went up today. Position: pitcher, catcher, first, second, short, third, left, center, right field, DH. Nickname: Manimal.
His Pagoda projection is -4 WAR.
They have his spring training stats, and they're, other than at bats and games, which are all 1, everything else zeros, so it's binary. The entire career of Will Ferrell. Yesterday, signed as an undrafted amateur free agent by the A's, traded to Seattle for a comedic actor to be named later. Joined the Angels in an unknown transaction, traded to the Cubs for a washing machine.
There's a whole lot of punchlines with that picture on the left.
Well, I'll tell you, he, as the third base coach of the Cubs, he was in the actual box, which is about 85 feet from home plate, as Javier Baez was batting with nobody on base. And you know, he was playing to the crowd, kind of half paying attention. I thought this is going to be the last day of his life. Was Stella with a late adjustment.
Yeah, so you know how sometimes they have those caption contests when you look at a photo? I think that one on the left would be a good one. Check out the face. I'm pretty sure the eyes are closed. But, you know, I watched a little bit. He moved around pretty well. I mean, he's a pretty good high school basketball player, right?
Yeah, and I think he got a little tutoring.
It's probably pretty sore today.
It was a long day.
Mm-hmm.
One strike on Olsen. Well, I thought it was a lot of fun, and all the players enjoyed it. The managers seemed to have fun. That one almost knocked down Adrian Johnson.
Yes, so for those who don't know, what Ferrell did was he ended up playing for 10 different teams, 5 different games, all around the Cactus League yesterday to raise money.
Fight against cancer.
Yeah, cancer, raising scholarship money for cancer survivors. I think it was the primary charity.
It'll be an HBO special. So they worked with Major League Baseball to put it all together. Logistically, it had to be a nightmare to get together. They had to make sure every clubhouse manager had a uniform ready for him to wear. He wore the uniform of every team. I thought he might just have his own, HBO uniform or whatever, but no, as you saw, he had his own Cubs uniform. He had about 50 people with him. And they all would go into the dugout with him. Spring training rosters are not small, so it was a circus, but a fun circus. At one point, he actually held cue cards at third base. One said, "You do realize these games don't count." Third strikeout for Arrieta. Left-hander Eric Jokic up in the Cubs pen. So this will be it for Arrieta. And the run he gave up in the first was unearned.
Fastball command has gotten better as this game has moved along.
Ladendorf went around. 92 on the fastball with good sinking action.
Try to get in that kitchen.
Backhanded by La Stella. He has looked sharp and has been pretty busy over there at third. Nice job, Jake Arrieta. 1 unearned run in his 4 innings and a chance for a win this evening. Weather just perfect here in Las Vegas. Big league weekend. Cubs and the A's tonight. They'll play again tomorrow afternoon as well. Good to have with us Rossi Ralenkotter. Our annual visit with Rossi, the president and CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, as Anthony Rizzo steps in. Rossi, thanks for having us back here again. The 11th consecutive year the Cubs have been here in Las Vegas in March.
It's for sure. This is a 25th anniversary of Big League Weekend for us, so we're happy to have all of you here.
Boy, the weather, you dialed it up just how we like it.
Listen, in the 80s in March, it's great. Beautiful day here.
And, you know, usually when we come here right around this time, you've got spring training baseball, you've got March Madness right around the corner, and this is just a wonderful time of year to be a sports fan and to come to Las Vegas.
Last weekend we had the NASCAR race, 150,000 fans for that, and of course we're the home of conference basketball championships. We have 4 conferences playing this week, and then of course the opening of March Madness, where people come here to enjoy Las Vegas and enjoy the opening part of the great basketball championships.
Rizzo goes down to get one, and he will fly out to Canna, the left fielder. So over 41 million visitors last year. That was a record, right?
First time we broke 40 million. It went to 41.1. So Las Vegas is back and better than ever, and lots of things going on. A lot of investment in town. Of course, the SLS, the old Sahara Hotel's been reopened. We've got the Cromwell Delano over at by Mandalay Bay. We have that opened up. The Link, which is the tallest observation wheel. So there's something for everybody in Las Vegas all the time.
My partner may have a few hours tomorrow morning to hit the links. Where should he play?
You got 64 courses to pick from.
Okay.
Whatever kind you want. You want a desert course? You want to
I would
practice?
go easy.
Easy? Okay. All right, we'll put you on one of the desert courses. That'd be the place to go.
Here's Soler. And he fouls out of play. I actually drove from Phoenix for the first time instead of fly, and passing the Hoover Dam and Lake Mead. I mean, this is incredibly gorgeous country, and if you haven't been to Nevada or to Las Vegas or this part of the country, you should get out here quickly. breathtaking scenery.
It is, Red Rock, the Valley of Fire. Of course, we're the gateway to the Grand Canyon. More people visit that by air than any other city, and so you can enjoy all of that in the daytime, and nighttime enjoy the festivities. We do have something for you to also do at night, to go down on Slutzilla on Fremont Street and take the zip line down. It's fun too. Slutzilla.
Slutzilla?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in.
You could zip line back to the hotel tonight after the game, JD.
I'm in.
2-2 on Soler.
Do I have to sign a waiver?
No, you don't.
Inside. Well, I'm a big hockey fan. Is the NHL coming to Las Vegas? That's been the big talk the last year or so.
We do have that going on. In fact, there's a ticket drive to get reservations for tickets for the future, to see about having a hockey team.
So Soler strikes out. The aforementioned Pat Vendetti, the switch pitcher, is loosening in the A's bullpen, so we may in fact see him. He's got a 6-finger glove. He's got a thumb hole on each side. Here's Miguel Montero. And that pitch is in the dirt. Did you have a good winter?
We had a great winter. We had a great January. Started out with consumer electronics. Followed before that was New Year's Eve, which is always a fantastic time. This is the place to be for New Year's Eve, and been having very strong business all the way through this first quarter.
Knocked down by Leidendorf. Throw to first. Good stretch by Olsen, and they got him. Make sure you come to this beautiful city, Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. Rossi Ralenkotter, thanks for your time. And again, thanks for having the Cubs here in Vegas.
Thank you. And
it's a 2-1 ball game, bottom of the fifth. Those kids out there, they have no clue what the score is. They're just having a big time. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated, game-used, and autographed Cubs memorabilia. From game-used jerseys, bases, and baseballs to autographed items from your favorite alumni and Hall of Famers. Cubs Authentics has the most exclusive Cubs and Wrigley Field memorabilia. Some of these words have 3 and 4 syllables. Visit Cubs.com/authentics all season long for updates on the latest game-used and autographed items. All net proceeds of Cubs Authentics benefit Cubs charities.
Northwestern product, Eric Jokic.
His major league debut with the Cubs last year. Pitched well, made 1 start. Also a handful of appearances out of the bullpen. Finesse lefty, good off-speed stuff.
Hails from Virginia, Illinois. Cubs leading this game 2-1, and errors have been a big part For both teams, only one earned of the three. Well, Jason Pridey, the right fielder.
Kind of a left-handed version of Kyle Hendricks. All about command and the ability to throw his off-speed stuff and fastball counts.
Two balls and a strike on Pridey. Don't go anywhere. You're going to see a switch pitcher in the next half inning. Broken bat roller to La Stella, and he gets him. Well, we mentioned earlier the Cubs honoring Mr. Cub all season long here in 2015. Ernie Banks, who passed away on January 23rd. All 19 of his big league seasons were spent as a Chicago Cub. He won the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013. Played in more games as a Cub than any player in franchise history. And we think about Ernie every day. And he still is definitely with us. Probably the most positive human being I've ever met. Two quick outs here in the fifth. JD, did anybody love the Cubs and Wrigley Field more than Ernie
just
Banks?
Being part of it, yeah, being around the people, being at the ballpark. I had the pleasure of flying out here yesterday with a very nice couple. And like so many people in Chicago, they had an Ernie Banks story. The husband was playing in a charity golf tournament. His wife, although she grew up on the South Side, was a huge Cub fan. And this guy happened to be paired with Ernie. And so he hands his phone to Ernie, and on like the 10th tee, and says, "Hey, would you mind giving my wife a call?" Sure. Chat her up for 10 minutes or so.
That's a very typical Ernie story.
Yeah, it was Bob and Cynthia. You know, right? Bob and Cynthia.
Right. Yeah. Swing and a miss. Looked like a pretty good changeup from Jokic.
Good let up of his. I don't have his minor league splits in front of me, and he didn't pitch a lot in the big leagues last year, but he looks like the kind of guy who probably may be better against right-handed hitters than lefties because of the changeup.
You say that. Joe Madden has already commented on kind of reverse matchup guys, you know, lefties who get out righties and righties who get out lefties, because for so long we've always had it in our head that lefties get out lefties, righties get out righties, but not everybody is like that.
You think about Tommy Glavine, the way he used to abuse right-handed hitters. Change up away, cutter in, Jamie Moyer.
Yeah, Glavine was a guy you probably were best served having 2 or 3 left-handed hitters in there to neutralize that changeup.
Yeah, and I think what happens, too, is there's a certain amount of pressure's not the right word, but staying with the orthodoxy, right? You bring a lefty out of the bullpen, so as an opposing manager, if you go, all right, I'm going to send my right-handed hitter up there. But in case of a guy like Jokic, it might not be the right play. But if you don't do it, people might second-guess you. Why did you leave the left-handed hitter in there?
Well, one thing about Joe Madden, that is not a concern.
Yeah, any good manager, that shouldn't be a factor.
Right. All right, the switch pitcher. I think he's coming on. Pat Vendetti. Oh, they changed. It's not him. The A's crossed us up. We may see Vendetti at some point. As JD mentioned during the break, they might be saving him for a matchup. Instead, it's a member of the A's bullpen, Ryan Cook, right-handed.
We'll have to wait a little bit on Vendetti. Cook has worked a couple times so far this spring. Dealt with some injury issues last year. 54 games for the A's in 2014. 2 times on the DL, 1-3 with an ERA of 3.42.
He was an all-star in 2012. New catcher's Carson Blair. I believe Carson is the name of Joe Madden's new granddaughter. That one mishandled by Muncy, and Baez is on.
Third error of the ball game for the A's this evening. Cubs took full advantage in the third when they scored their 2 runs.
Now the Bonanza High School product, Chris Bryant. Lines out to Canna. Hit it hard. He's 0 for 3. Now Junior Lake has struck out, walked, and been caught stealing.
You were talking earlier about injuries in spring training. This, not an injury, but kind of a funny story. The Brewers have banned high-fiving for the time being because there's a breakout of pink eye on their ball club.
Ooh. There goes Baez in head first, and he kept his foot on the bag. He's been pretty aggressive on the bases so far this spring. And for my money, I think most teams should be overly aggressive in spring training, JD, because I don't think you're ever going to be more aggressive in the regular season than you are in spring training. And how many times does a veteran player say, I'm going to steal 15 this year? And then it's August 1st and they're 0 for 1. But it starts here.
Yeah, well, it's the rhythm of getting the lead, getting the jump, getting comfortable trying to steal bases. We've talked a lot about it over the years, but the head first slide, and you kind of brace when you see it. And there are others that would argue, as many guys get hurt sliding feet first as they do head first. That's my one concern. When I see a guy go head first, especially in spring training. But if that's what you're going to do in the regular season, you might as well do it in the exhibition season. One of your tenets is to dive or not to dive for a ball. Yeah. And you say in spring training, when in doubt, don't do it. Don't run it. Don't leave your feet going into a wall. And it's tough to dial back those competitive juices, like the conversation we had with Kyle Hendricks back in the second inning. So you go out there to pitch, you might go out there with an idea you're going to work on something, but you're facing real hitters with people in the stands, and there's a little adrenaline, and you end up competing. And the same thing happens to position players. I saw in the Cubs game with the Dodgers the other day, Puig went into the wall to make a play. I think it was against the Cubs. Yeah. Great catch. If I were Donnie Mattingly, I don't know if I'd want Puig going into a wall in an exhibition game. But he also beat out an infield hit by being Yasiel Puig. Yeah, running hard for sure. Up the middle, and it hits the bag. Baez will score without a throw. Junior Lake with an RBI single. Unearned run, 3-1. Kind of a theme here tonight, the unearned runs. But a good solid single by Lake on for the second time. He walked last time. Baez reaches on the air. Bryant hit a rocket to left, and now Lake with solid contact. Right back through the middle of the diamond.
La Stella's had a really good night all around. Would you say it's been a La Stella night?
It's been a Stella night. And we might play a little hit and run here.
It's snagged by the catcher Blair. Quick throw by Cook.
Stella's an East Coast kid. Up in New York, New Jersey, somewhere back there. Played collegiately at Coastal Carolina.
Debuted last year, 93 games with the Braves. Born in Westwood, New Jersey. Came over for hard-throwing righty Arodys Vizcaíno as the Cubs made a deal with the Braves. Cubs have made a few deals with the Braves over the years. The A's always seem to make a deal with the Nationals. I guess you just have certain GM pairings that work.
You can match up with, feel comfortable with.
See, I've got the note. I better use it since we don't see the A's in the regular season. 9 trades between Oakland and Washington in just over 4 years. That's a lot.
Boy, that Nationals club. They're loaded. No soft touches in that rotation. Good work by the bottom of the order here for the Cubs tonight. La Stella and Russell been on 4 times combined. Lake's been on twice.
Into right for a base hit. Lake on his way to third. La Stella's 3 for 3.
Again, pretty quiet approach by La Stella. That's the scouting report. Doesn't overswing.
Yeah, so how are you feeling if you're Tanner Roark? Well, he won 15 games last year. And how are you going to beat out Scherzer, Strasburg, Zimmerman, Pfister, and Gonzalez?
Probably feeling like you're about to be traded.
I'd like to be Jordan Zimmerman and be, what, the number 3?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to put numbers on that staff, right? Just a bunch of good pitchers. Because I feel pretty comfortable handing the ball to Jordan Zimmerman in a big game.
Ryan Zimmerman will be their first baseman. That feels right, doesn't it, with the shoulder issues and the throwing problems he had had.
pickoff.
The pickoff of La Stella by Cook.
Boy, he's got really quick feet. And it looked to me that he just kind of spun in front of the rubber and didn't step off, clear the rubber. That was really quick. Quick jump move, able to get turned all the way around and square up to make that throw to first base. Foul that one away for the World Series against the A's. Be careful with Cook on the mound.
Fair ball. Addison Russell against his former team. He's been on all 3 times. RBI double, 4-1. Two runs in to give the Cubs now a 3-run lead in the 6th. We're going to add yet another one. Fowler with a gapper. Russell scores. It's a double for Dexter Fowler. 5-1.
Boy, just a string of really good at-bats here by the Cubs in the 6th inning. A lot of solid contact. And we always talk about a good at-bat being a lengthy at-bat where you see a lot of pitches. Sometimes a good at-bat is getting a pitch to your liking early on and taking a whack at it. It's exactly what Dexter Fowler does for an RBI single. A little frustrated with his young catcher. Wind has really settled down.
It was gusting during batting practice, but very calm conditions at the moment.
I can see some balls fly out of here tonight, but so far that has not been the case. And you see the flags, not a whole lot going on.
Kyle Hendricks will pitch tomorrow against right-hander Jesse Hahn. The other split squad will be at Maryvale Park in Phoenix. Edwin Jackson and Jimmy Nelson, the matchup there. 2-1 the count. Tweet wondering why all the big football numbers for the rookies. Bryant wearing what, 76? There's kind of a pecking order in terms of picking uniform numbers. The veteran guys usually have the lower numbers at first choice. Nice play by Leidendorf. That ball was scalded by Rizzo on the ground. So a 3-run 6th. We'll head to the bottom of the inning, and the Cubs lead now 5-1.
Top of the 6th for the Cubs. They now lead 5-1. The Cubs invite you to take advantage of free remote parking and shuttle services on night and weekend games. The remote lot is located at 3900 North Rockwell. For details and all kinds of other good information, check out the Cubs website at Cubs.com.
Cubs have stretched their lead to 5-1 on a gorgeous night. It is Friday the 13th.
Ooh, it is.
Be safe
isn't it?
tonight. Eric Jokic in his second inning of work. Got some changes around him defensively, and I would say 72% of them we know.
It's fair.
28%
You know,
we're still
we had,
not sure about.
Rossi on here from the Las Vegas Convention Bureau, and I was trying to think of a good question. I really didn't come up with anything. But if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would ask him if gaming is down on Friday the 13th.
Ooh. Assuming that people have bad luck.
Yeah, superstitious people might.
Right.
Remind me to ask him that next year.
Even though
it won't be Friday the 13th.
Probably won't be Friday the 13th. But you can say, Rossi, a question I had for you last year.
Yes.
I forgot to ask you last year. Ball 4, Muncy is aboard.
Tomorrow is Pi Day. 3.1415.
Oh. I thought it was National Pie, P-I-E Day. I was going to order banana cream or something. Well, we know Albert Almora is playing center. That we know. Chris Valleca is at first. Wes Darville is at second. Corner outfield spots, we don't know yet. There's a number 72 in left, but the 72 on our roster is right-handed pitcher Michael Jensen. But that's not him. That's a left-handed thrower. One and one on Simeon. Looking at some of the highlights on the Cubs schedule, the American League Central will be the Cubs interleague division. That includes home and home with the White Sox, Indians, and Tigers. Back to Jokic, see if they can turn to 1-4-3.
To clean things up for Jokic. Squares up nicely when he finishes his delivery. Takes time to settle himself. Good feed to Darville there at second base. He does the rest.
And the catcher Blair. I don't recall in the last certainly decade as much excitement for both Chicago teams as this year for the Cubs and the White Sox. White Sox had a very interesting offseason as well.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's another one of those prop bets you can make. You can bet on who will win more games, the Cubs or the Sox. Yeah, it's going to be a fun summer.
Popped into right. Caught by a Cub. The Cubs right fielder made the catch. Cashman Field in Las Vegas. The Cubs lead the A's 5-1, and they've been helped by some defensive issues. A couple of errors on this particular play by the first baseman, Matt Olson. Cubs got a couple of runs. But we've seen some really good at-bats as well. RBI single Junior Lake in the 6th. Dexter Fowler, after an Addison Russell RBI double, knocks in Russell. So it's 5-1.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. The A's kick it around a little bit. The Cubs string together some base hits, have a comfortable lead. Here's a veteran left-hander, Eric O'Flaherty. Boy, he's got a big day coming up.
Was he getting married?
St. Patrick's Day.
I paid attention.
He might wear green.
Wears uniform. Strike called on Chris Bosio.
Nasty miss. 21 games with the A's last year for O'Flaherty, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Took place in May of 2013.
Got him with a high fastball. Are you still keeping score?
No, and it's kind of funny. I think first spring training game every year, I make it about 5 innings.
You don't want to peak too early?
I just, get burnt out and just lose track of who the players are, all the changes. Kind of like a pitcher, right? The first time out, you usually go a couple innings. So I kind of feel like I stretched it out here tonight.
Right.
Keeping score for 5. Matter of fact, I probably shouldn't even be here any longer.
Well, we try to keep it together and professional here as much as we can. But if you saw what was going on behind the scenes to try to figure out who is playing left and right for the Chicago Cubs right now.
We think Jacob Hanneman is in left or right. No, he's in left. And Bijan Rademacher, I think, is the right fielder.
Okay.
And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I don't think you are, but that's okay.
Rademacher?
No, I think it's Rademacher or Rademacher.
What did I say?
I don't know. It's like Langerhans or Langerhans or right.
Well, last year, you recall we did a game, and I think we had the wrong pitcher out there for about an inning. It might have been Jokic, as a matter of fact. And I apologize.
So you're doing everything a year late. You're going to apologize today to Jokic for last year, and then next year you'll ask Rossi about this year on Friday the 13th as Montero takes strike 3. See how you work.
My intentions are always noble, but I tend to forget. This is a good pitch here. This is a knee-high heater, outside edge, borderline with a good pitch. That's tough left on left.
Albert Almora. So you read a lot like I do, and we swap baseball articles every once in a while. The strike zone has gotten bigger. Hit hard, and we may have to talk about that in the bottom of the inning as Almora grounds out. It's the Cubs 5 and the A's 1 as we stretch in Vegas.
having a big night here at Cashman Field. The Cubs lead 5-1. Friday, April 17th, the Cubs take on the Cincinnati Reds. First pitch at 1:20. First 10,000 fans in the ballpark will receive a Cubs Winter Aviator hat presented by Pepsi. Oh, man, I can't wait to get my hands on that. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Eric Jokic has not given up a hit in his 2 innings of work as he faces Mark Canha, the left fielder.
A good opportunity with split squad games today and tomorrow for the Cubs to get some innings for these pitchers. That always becomes an issue as you get later in spring training. The starting pitchers have to get stretched out, start to work a higher percentage of the innings. It usually leads to some demotions to the minor leagues.
Kyle Schwarber is now catching. The Cubs in the last year or so went from not having enough catchers to having a lot. Nice play by Russell.
Quick feet, strong arm.
So back to the strike zone. The strike zone has gotten a little bigger as a result of lower pitches being called strikes that previously had not been. You talked about the pace of game issues, and I agree with you. It's not about how long we're here. It's about certain moments in games in which there just was a lack of action. Are you of the mindset that the strike zone needs to be tweaked? We need fewer strikeouts. We need more offense. I'm not convinced that that has to be artificially changed,
right,
per se, that it does go in cycles. But do you think we need more runs, more offense?
No, I think what I find is, the strike zone has gotten a little bigger. But I think the biggest part of the problem has been hitters' unwillingness to change their approach. And, of course, the shifting has helped suppress offense, too. Not to a great deal, but somewhat. So right now, I would not be in favor of any rule book change to the strike zone. I guess I would buy into it if there was a conversation with the umpires that, hey, fellas, I'm afraid to tighten it up a little bit. And I've talked to a lot of hitters over the years, and a lot of the guys I've talked to said, we don't mind if it's big, high, and low. Just don't make it real wide on us. Don't make me have to go swing at a pitch at 6 inches off the plate.
Lucas strikes out Olsen.
If it's on the plate but down a little bit, certain hitters can do a lot of damage and, at least put the ball in play down there. And if it's on the plate but up a little bit, guys can get to that pitch. But the one that's way off, very few guys can get to.
All right, I'm not going to get emotional about this. I got really excited earlier. But that's Pat Vendetti, the switch pitcher, and he's getting loose for the second time.
Yeah. And he was on their list of available pitchers here. And a lot of times, you'll have a list of available pitchers, and they also bring some extra guys. But it seems like he was slated to pitch in this ball game. A's have been held scoreless since scoring in the bottom of the first.
And that was an unearned run. Before this ball game ends, and I don't want to ask you, your theory of not making it topical, but asking a year later, do you have any Las Vegas Stars memories that stand out?
Let me see. Don Logan, the general manager here, was the general manager when I played here in '92, and he recalled that when I first appeared here, they spelled my name wrong on the scoreboard.
Well, that's
a highlight.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Eric Jokic has been really good. 3 scoreless, hitless innings as the Cubs lead 5-1. is Pat Vendetti, switch pitcher. And you see his numbers on the spring, a scoreless inning against the Cubs included. He warmed up left-handed originally, and now his final warm-up tosses right-handed as he'll face Chris Bryant.
Yeah, he took 4 as a left-handed pitcher and then switched over to the right. He's got a little more giddy up on the fastball as a righty, and more of a drop-down side armor from the left side. There's the switch.
Yeah, he's got a thumb hole in that glove on each side.
His dad had it custom made for him from a company in Japan. Well, it looks like he's wearing a Mizuno now. When he was a kid.
Remember Greg Harris? Right-hander through left-handed in 1985. Swing and a miss by Bryant.
So Bryant from the right side means Vendetti works right-handed. There's a left-handed hitter on deck. Yeah, Greg Harris, I remember he could throw with both hands, and he did it in a game, but it was more of a novelty. You know, there was never the point where he became a true ambidextrous, or as Yogi would say, amphibious pitcher.
Sinker misses inside. 1-2. Wes Darville is on deck. Bryant flies out.
Just missed 2 tonight. Lined out to left earlier, and similar here. He didn't hit this ball as hard as he did in that previous at bat. Maybe a little too much top hand rolling over on it. Put a little top spin on it. So now we're going to go lefty.
So the pitcher in this particular circumstance essentially has to declare which arm he's going to use for the at-bat. Now, if in the middle of the at-bat or after he declared, the opposing manager decided to use a pinch hitter, he then would be allowed to redeclare. If he didn't have that situation, if you had Vendetti against Dexter Fowler, they would just both be switching batters boxes and gloves for the next hour. 2-1.
What would really be cool is if a switch hitter went up there and the pitcher, then he'd meet halfway between the mound and home plate with like a 1-2-3 shake, like, and whatever it was. You have to be left, I have to, whatever.
Rock, paper, scissors, or whatever.
Yeah. 1-2-3 shoot. Ooh, we're both left-handed. Let's go.
Longtime member of the Yankees farm system. Foul territory and caught. That is Kent Mathis made the catch.
Thought it was him. I wasn't sure.
Now we have a switch hitter, Jonathan Herrera. So he had to wait for Vendetti to declare. Vendetti said, I'll throw left-handed.
Well, this would be a situation where typically, and in the regular, what's typical? There's nobody that's done this. But you would want him to look into the dugout, right, with a switch hitter coming up to look at his manager to say, I want you to turn this guy around, or one way or the other. I didn't see him do that.
Well, based on a very small sample size, maybe he's also generally more comfortable as a lefty, or the idea of most switch hitters, hit for a higher average left-handed, so we'll turn him around. But probably case-by-case basis. Well, He works a 1-2-3 eighth inning. Cubs lead 5-1.
You're not.
So we head to the bottom of the eighth. Cubs lead the A's 5-1. Live Chicago Cubs baseball is back in 2015 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Kids having fun here tonight as the Cubs look for their second spring win. As right-hander Don Roach, born in Las Vegas, will take over. And hey, great to have our Comcast Sportsnet crew back with us here in 2015. John Walsh, Jim Angio, Chris Kampka, Mark Harper with us here in Las Vegas. Executive producer Jim Corno Jr. And we look forward to a fun year once again. Maybe a little more fun this year.
Yeah, I think it will be. Roach, originally a third-round pick of the Angels. Spent 3 years in their minor league system, never rose above A-ball there, then moved on to the Padres. Made his major league debut last year for San Diego, worked 16 times, including a start. Pitched to a 4.75 ERA. Fastball, curve, and a splitter.
I went to Bishop Gorman High School here in Las Vegas. Freshman year at Arizona, and then the College of Southern Nevada in 2010 as a sophomore, and he was a teammate of Bryce Harper. That's when Bryce Harper was 17. In 66 games, he had 31 homers, batted .443.
A lot of people predicting a breakout year for Harper this year.
Yeah. 1-2 on Pridey. Into the corner. Doesn't always happen, but when you elevate, it can happen at this level.
Yeah, especially if you're not an overpowering guy. It looked like they're trying to go up, but in.
Not up enough.
Yeah, not in enough either.
Well, you proved that you can pitch up in the strike zone. You like that part of the strike zone, but the thing was, you like to be out of it almost.
Yeah, you gotta throw it just above the happy zone. Get it up there where they're willing to chase it, but they can't do a whole lot of damage with it.
Nunez bounces foul. Clipped him. So as you look at this ball club, with about 3 weeks to go before opening day, what's kind of your biggest concern or focus? You say, if this goes right, this could be a really special year.
Yeah, well, for me, it's how quickly the young kids come. You know, what do you get out of Javi Baez, Soler, Chris Bryant, when he ultimately gets here? You know, I think you pretty much know what you're going to get out of Rizzo and Castro. I have a pretty good feel for the, comfortable feeling with the rotation. There's obviously questions at the back end, but everybody has that. And you've been watching him play, so clearly they have to tighten some things up defensively.
Yes. Yeah, I think the biggest question I would have, just based on what occurred last year, is can they score enough runs?
Yeah. And it's not like there's a whole lot of decisions to be made. This isn't an open tryout. I mean, just about every position on the field is spoken for.
Yeah, so that's number one for me. Number two, swing and a miss. Strike three. Nunez is out. Jason Hamill, Kyle Hendricks, and at this point I would say probably Travis Wood. But now there are a ton of question marks, but can Kyle Hendricks in his sophomore year, which is always a very difficult one for guys to repeat what he did last year, for Jason Hamill to come back and he had the best first half of his life last year. Can he repeat that?
Well, and that's why you know the top two in the rotation. Again, we made the point earlier, if they are able to do what Lester always seems to do and what Arrieta did last year, it takes a little pressure off 3, 4, and 5 in that rotation. Takes a little pressure off the bullpen too, because if those guys are doing their thing, pitching deep into games, that means the bullpen is more available to bail out the guys at the back of the rotation. A lot easier to make that quick hook with your fifth starter if you know you got Lester going tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you the other thing is, what looked to be an incredible amount of depth in terms of starting rotation candidates. All of a sudden, Jacob Turner with the elbow issue. Tsuyoshi Wada continues to have a leg issue. Edwin Jackson really struggled his first time out. So now you start whittling it down and you go, well, we had 9 or 10 candidates and now we may only have 6 or 7.
Right, yeah.
Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. And that's another interesting question that does not have to be answered yet. But that is the fate of Edwin Jackson. He's got 2 more years on his contract. He's going to make a healthy amount of money. He has had probably the 2 worst years of his major league career. If he doesn't make the rotation, is he the long guy in the bullpen who only pitches in blowouts? Do you think about making him a short reliever to go fastball slider, throw 96 and air it out?
Yeah, but even in that role, who's he going to supplant?
Right.
I mean, I guess you're paying him enough money where you certainly think about it. I'm guessing ultimately the hope is that he shows well enough here in spring training that somebody makes you an offer for him.
Breaking ball strike on Muncy.
No,
I think you would agree. You know, I guess in an ideal world, veteran status, salary, all that stuff doesn't matter, right? You take the best 25, but we know that that's not how it works. That there are certain guys where you really want them to make the roster and make the decision easy, as opposed to struggle, but you feel like we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. That is a towering blast. Muncy deep into the night to make it 5-3. Two-run homer.
Oh, what a night that kid has had. That's at least his third hit.
It is his third.
It's his third, yeah, because I stopped scoring, but I know he had two early. And that was a big one. Max Muncy. Max fits, doesn't it? That swing.
Kent Mathis. Well, that's why I think, well, it may not be likely. I think it's altogether possible the Cubs could break camp with the three catchers. And at some point, that'll just kind of work itself out. Snagged by Christian Villanueva just into the ball game, but an infield hit from Mathis. Nice play by the youngster Villanueva.
Well, that was pretty great glove work down there at third base. Tough in between hop on the backhand side.
The tying run will come to the plate, and it's the catcher Blair.
There's always roster fluctuation late in spring with players being placed on waivers from other clubs. Guys become available that you've had your eye on. Yeah, this would be a good fit for our club. Try to make a trade. Same thing early in the season. It's not like it's set in concrete.
Oh, 0-2 the count on Blair. Bottom of the 8th, Cubs lead 5-3. Called strike 3. All the outs in the inning were strikeouts. Muncy with a two-run homer in the middle, and it's now 5-3 as we go to the 9th.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Apt Electronics, appliances and more. Pleasing people since 1936.
We've had some fun in Las Vegas tonight. And the Cubs hoping to wrap up a win and go for the 2-game big league weekend sweep tomorrow, leading 5-3 and trying to tack on here in the 9th inning.
There should be a trophy for the winner of the baseball weekend here.
What would be a good trophy? You have an idea?
Big portrait of Wayne Newton.
How about Greg Maddux? The Hall of Famer.
Called the Maddux Cup?
Yeah. Christian Villanueva had a rough year last year. Struggled at AAA, went back to AA as he chops one to short.
It's interesting, as Villanueva walked up to the plate, I was watching Vendetti, and he wasn't looking so much at Christian, but he's looking at the on-deck circle to see who was next. So it was kind of like mapping out his right-left strategy. Not that it would affect how he pitched to Villanueva. I think he just likes to know who's coming next.
It was Ladendorf, who's now playing short, making that play. I believe this is Jacob Hanneman. He's wearing a funky number. Here's a pitch, swing and a miss. Hanneman is 23. Third-round pick in 2013. Has yet to reach AA ball. Unable to hold up there. Product of Brigham Young University. Born in Hawaii. Lives in Orem, Utah. Fans.
According to Wikipedia, he's the cousin of Muffy Hanneman, the former mayor of Honolulu. And he's an Eagle Scout.
Vendetti has faced 5 and retired all of them. And Bijan Rodemaker. By about a foot. 13th round pick, 2012. He's from Southern California.
And at Daytona last year, A-ball at 281 with 10 home runs, had an OPS of 811.
Breaking ball at 71, feathered in for strike 2. And he struck him out. So we'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Looks like Blake Parker will try to finish him off. 5-3 Cubs. Cashman Field. Cubs trying to wrap up their second win of the spring. And it's right-hander Blake Parker in a save situation. He was good at this at AAA Iowa last year, as he led the Pacific Coast League with 25 saves.
Yeah, was an all-star in the Pacific Coast League last year. If you're looking for a nickname, frequent flyer miles might work. 7 different stints with the big club last year, during which he pitched 18 times.
I wonder what the major league record for call-ups in a season is. 7's got to be close.
Yeah, Roscoe had a few too, didn't he? Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Going from the windup. I don't remember him pitching from the windup last year. I thought he was exclusively from the stretch. I could be wrong.
In all matters of memory, I'll defer to you.
In fact, since we're in Las Vegas, I'd bet on that. I asked Hector Rondon about that the other day. A vast majority of short relievers just pitch from the stretch all the time, and he doesn't. And the reason is he feels like he's got a little more heat, a little more velocity, a little more life from the windup than from the stretch. I don't know if the numbers would bear that out, but his theory is don't let anybody on. I could pitch from the windup the whole inning. And normally the closer does start with a clean inning. Parker ready. Backhanded by Villanueva. 1 down.
Number 77.
Good curve. Parker, a converted catcher, working with a guy who wants to remain a catcher, Kyle Schwarber. And the Cubs believe he can become a big league catcher. Schwarber can hit. That is not in doubt. You get more value out of a guy like him if he can remain behind the plate. But what it might do if he remains a catcher is it might slow his track a little bit.
That's the rub. His bat may be able to get him to the big leagues more quickly if he were to make a transition to, say, left field. But he becomes a more valuable asset if he can figure out the catching piece of it to go along with that real good bat. And everything I've heard and read, the Cubs expect him to be able to do that. He clearly has no intention of making a change.
Ball 4. Yeah, the story goes from Jason McLeod after they drafted him that he had a meeting with the brass. And essentially, the Cubs asked Schwarber, do you think you can catch? And his answer was essentially, I get really ticked off when people ask me that.
Yeah,
it's a great answer.
And it was very assertive too. It wasn't that you would think maybe a young kid would be, well, yeah, whatever you guys
whatever
think,
you want me to do.
I'll do whatever I need the ball club to do. And he was like, yes, I can catch. Time will tell.
And strike on Leidendorf.
So much nuance to that position. The footwork, receiving the ball, blocking baseballs, framing pitches.
Well, talking with Henry Blanco and Mike Borzello, and they're experts on the subject. They both believe he can do it. They're both very impressed with Schwarber's work to this point. I think Borzi's comment the other day when I was talking to him was, what do you think? And essentially, as good as it gets for a 22-year-old kid who's, doing this for the first time as a pro. So that's high praise from the Cubs catching coach. Called strike 3. And what he said about Schwarber was, if I tell him something once, he gets it. And he's got the aptitude for it. 2 outs in the inning. Outside corner.
That's the situation. If you're in a regular season game, it'd be focused much more on the score and tying run in the batter's box. You would be pitching away from power. Fastball down and away. Pretty good idea to get started there.
I would call that a wild pitch.
And just for those who were tweeting earlier whether there was a backstop here or not, there you go. So if you asked that question back in the first inning and you stayed with us to the 9th, there's your evidence. See, they're not even watching the game back there.
Right. By the way, those 2 guys with the Cubs jerseys, the blue Cubs jerseys, those are Kosuke Fukudome jerseys, in case you're wondering. Directly behind home plate. One and 2.
Kosuke full count, Fukudome.
Enjoying a big pretzel. One ball and 2 strikes on Friday. Cubs win. Blake Parker with a scoreless ninth. And the Cubs have beaten the A's in our first televised game of 2015. 5-3 the final. Jake Arrieta, solid.
Arrieta was good. The bottom of the batting order was really good. Addison Russell, impressive.
I thought you were pretty good, too.
Well, I was just going to ask you what your one-loss record is this spring, Len.
Well, I've seen both wins. Let's put it that way.
Because I'm undefeated. That's all I got. Listella was good tonight, too. Tommy Listella, real good night.
Yeah, Dave Martinez 1-0 as a Cubs manager. Filling in for Joe Madden here tonight and tomorrow afternoon. So for JD, our director Jim Angio, our producer John Walsh, our associate producer Chris Kampka, our technical manager Mark Hartford, our executive producer Jim Corno Jr., and our entire crew. Len Casper saying so long. We'll have the Cubs and the Diamondbacks night baseball this coming Thursday. You've been watching Chicago Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Good night.
soccer legend